Everybody. Thanks for listening. I'm Jenny. I'm a life coach. And today I'm talking about the emotional needs of empaths and INFJs because it is time for us to start getting our needs met. Our needs are chronically going unmet. And we desperately want for other people to intuit our needs like we do for others. But other types can't do that because that's not really their blueprint. Other personality types have a different blueprint. And that means we have to learn to ask for what we need, but not in a way where we're asking for the other person to change who they are. So this is a little bit tricky. But if we're not meeting our needs directly, then we will meet them neurotically. Common needs are a need for love, for control, for freedom, for unity, and for safety. And it's important to find a balance between being able to meet our own needs ourselves and also having a partner who can meet your needs. It's like having two parents, right? Like you need a mom and a dad to both, pitch in here and there, to both pick up the slack in different areas. So you need to be able to meet your own needs, and your partner needs to be able to meet your needs, but neither one of you is going to be able to meet your needs all of the time. That's why it's important to have that balance. Um, it's hard in modern society to meet our partner's needs or to get our needs met because we're all having trouble meeting our own needs because we live in a capitalist hellscape. And food is expensive and housing is expensive, and we're all just struggling to survive. We all have depression and anxiety and mental illness because of the society that we live in. And when you're just trying to survive, it's very, very difficult to meet your partner's needs when you're in survival mode. Um, Community no longer fills the gaps like it used to. We're cut off from community way more than we used to be. Um, the way that we live is very isolated. There's way less um, community support for most people. And so, a lot of the times in history, community, your relationship didn't have to meet so many of your needs because community filled in a lot of the gaps that it isn't filling in anymore. And that this puts a lot of extra pressure on relationships. As far as personality types go, as far as Myers Briggs go, there's 16 different personality types, and half of them have extroverted feeling. Even some of the introverts have extroverted feeling, and some of the personality types have introverted feeling. And there's a lot of introverted feelers who have deep empathy, but introverted feelers are more likely to be selfish. They're more likely to be focused on meeting their own needs. They're more likely to get their own needs met. Extroverted feelers, which is what INFJs are more likely to be focused on meeting other people's needs. Um, they're less likely to get their needs met. Typically, extroverted feelers are the ones meeting everyone else's needs. Introverted feelers are the ones getting their needs met. And in the negative pole, this looks like selfishness. So, if you're interested what you are, you need to look up your personality type, your MBTI personality type, and then look up what your cognitive functions are and see which type of feeling that you have. But just hearing me describe it, you probably have a pretty good guess of which one you are. Um, Introverts need our partners to meet our needs more than extroverts do, because if an introvert adds supplemental people to their world, we actually get drained by other people. Extroverts get charged by being around other people. So extroverts have also less of a need for their partner to meet their needs because they get charged by being around other people and they can get other people to meet those needs in other ways. Um, if you're in a relationship, it helps to turn your complaints into needs. Stop focusing on the complaint and focus on the need that's not getting met. This can help remove a lot of defensiveness. Um, Empaths and INFJs' ability to sense the unseen means we often end up in relationships with people who are indirect, inconsistent, scared of honesty, and who leave things unsaid because we're reading it all for them. We're reading the energy for them, and they don't have to communicate. But this arrangement is unfair. You should not have to read your partner's mind, even if you can. It puts a lot of unfair strain on our relationships. Um, so we need our partners to be direct. We need them to not expect us to read their minds, even though we probably can. Um, I think we don't ask for what we need a lot of the times because we're scared of abandonment. We're scared that if we ask for our needs to be met, we will get abandoned. Another reason is we hold back speaking our needs because we think that we can bear the disappointment of an unspoken need not being met more easily than we can bear the disappointment of a spoken need not being met. And I think that's very true. But that's important information to have if you're trying to date someone who cannot meet a spoken need. That's information you might want to use to weed them out, even if it's more painful. Um, so so yeah, if you don't speak your needs, then you're just assuming then you get to pretend that the person wants to meet your needs. They just don't know what they are, right? But if you speak the need and they don't meet it, then you have confirmation that or it might feel like, well, okay, they actually don't care, and that's more painful. Um, Relationship problems are more common with people who did not have secure attachment figures. Pets very often are the only secure attachment figures that we had growing up. They were the only consistent source of love that a lot of us had. And so consistency is very important in forming secure attachment bonds in adulthood. Um, it's important to find partners who listen to us. Um, Women, no matter what personality type we are, usually have an extra dose of intuition, and they are more aware of problems in the relationship than men are typically. So if you're with a woman and she's bringing up a relationship problem with you, it's very, very important to believe her because just because you can't see the problem doesn't mean it's not there. Women are usually more in tune to relationship problems than men are. And it's important to believe and respect that. Men, of course, are should also be allowed to bring up relationship issues, of course. But if your partner is coming to you with a problem, it is very important to believe them, even if you don't have awareness of that problem or if you can't see it yourself. Listening, though, is not enough by itself. One of the traits that we need in a partner is their words have to match their actions. They do what they say they would do. They're reliable. And if anything changes, they communicate why. An apology without change is just manipulation, right? It's not okay to just keep apologizing for the same problem and not actually doing anything about it. Um, the problem with a lot of issues in relationships is they'll apologize for the outcome or the symptoms, but they do nothing to fix the cause of the problem or the symptoms. And this is incredibly frustrating for deep empathic seers who know that there's a root there that's not getting looked at and addressed. And that is so important for us. And it is so hard to find someone who addresses the root of the problem instead of just apologizing for the cause of the problem or the effect. Safe fighting is very important. How a safe person fights is they don't make you feel ashamed or crazy, but they're also not a pushover and they don't take bullshit. They don't treat you like the problem, they treat the problem like the problem. They're gentle when they need to be and assertive when they need to be. They're apologetic of their mistakes and they're forgiving of yours. Um, they don't see your mistakes as your identity. They just see it as maybe a part of you that needs attention and compassion. Um, Intimacy is directly proportional to the willingness of two people to be hurt by one another and to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is really important. The willingness to be hurt by another person doesn't mean, they should want to hurt you, but the willingness to be hurt by another person is basically what vulnerability is. And healthy relationships, deep relationships require vulnerability. And it's scary, guys. It is scary to be vulnerable. It is scary to open yourself up to the potential of being hurt, but it is the only way to have deep, real connections with people. The primary emotion we had as children, in the relationship with our parents, will be the primary emotion that we seek in adult relationships. Those emotional experiences don't go away, they're looking to be resolved. We all have unconscious agendas in relationships to resolve our unhealed trauma. And relationships can be opportunities to rewrite these old stories. It is an opportunity to help your partner heal old wounds that have nothing to do with you, but not if you get frustrated and reject them. So, no relationship is going to be the perfect corrective experience to the abuse or neglect that we had, no matter how much we want it to be. But we don't need perfect. We need people to be reliable enough and safe enough and consistent enough. And that is enough to start to heal these old wounds. Get a sip of water. Yin versus yang energy, also important. Masculine versus feminine energy, also important. Everyone has masculine and feminine energy, but a lot of problems come in when the woman or, the feminine energy person, I don't want to be strictly heterosexual here, but when the feminine energy person is living in her masculine energy most of the time because she doesn't feel secure. Um, the yin energy, the masculine energy needs to be like a container. It needs to be like the banks of the river, off, offering the feminine energy stability without controlling its course, without being controlling. Stability without controllingness. Um, so so if you are someone who wants to be in your feminine energy, but you're forced to be in your masculine energy more often, it's probably because you don't feel secure in your relationship and because the partner who you want to embody the masculine role is not offering that safety and stability for you. So it's important to think about which one of those roles do you want to play and which one are you being forced to play? And picking people who allow you to play the role that you want to be playing. Um, there's also, different versions of masculine and feminine energy. There's dark masculine, immature masculine, and mature masculine, and same with feminine energy. Dark masculine energy is tyrannical. It's all about power and control through force or manipulation. And it looks like emotional detachment and abuse. That's not what we're looking for. There's also the immature masculine energy, which is like the man child, lacks direction and purpose, seeks too much external validation, maybe irresponsible, impulsive, or emotionally mature. What we're looking for is the mature masculine energy, the king archetype. Embodies strength, wisdom, and responsibility, provides structure and guidance, acts with integrity and compassion, right? The type of man we're talking about respects women even when they're not in the room. Okay. And then as far as dark feminine energy goes, this is sorceress energy. She uses charm to allure and manipulate or control, maybe seductive, emotionally volatile, or destructive. The amusing thing to me is that people who cheat are actually living in dark feminine energy. So the men who are just like these you know, macho womanizers who are sleeping around with all these women, they're actually living in dark feminine energy. Immature feminine is the eternal child. She seeks attention and a validation through emotional displays or neediness. She actually may be over nurturing, but in the wrong ways. This is like the mom or the grandmother who like tries to force you to eat even though you're not hungry. This is immature feminine energy. May be overly dependent or manipulative as well. And then the mature feminine, the wise woman, this is what we're looking for, embodies intuition, nurturing, and wisdom, offers guidance and support, acts with compassion and understanding. Um, in modern society, um, the patriarchy, sorry, I hope I don't trigger a bunch of political comments, but has created a lot of imbalances with these energies. Um, and one thing we need to remember is that men are sensitive. um, they are sensitive and it is easy to hurt their feelings, um, and and we need to allow men to be vulnerable. It doesn't mean that they should be coddled. It doesn't mean that we should accept unacceptable behavior, especially with immature masculine or dark masculine or any of those types of situations. But um, we need to allow men to be vulnerable, and it is easy to forget that they're sensitive, and they deserve compassion and sensitivity. Um, it used to be that women did not. Um, it used to be that women needed men. Like women weren't even allowed to have jobs or credit cards. Women weren't allowed to vote. And modern women don't need men for those things anymore. And I think this has left men kind of confused on what their place is. But even though women don't need men, we still want them. And instead of looking for, credit cards or financial support, we are looking for men to emotionally support us. And there is the bar. I don't think men understand how low the bar is for just showing up for women in a way that they need. Um, women just want to feel safe and secure. And it really is not that hard to give women that. It just takes intention. Um, Most men are raised to be avoidant and to be dismissive and to be emotionally detached. It is not their fault. But it does mean that um, a lot of relationships fail because the man is detached and not listening. And then suddenly, when the woman suddenly does everything she warned the man about, he's blindsided. Nothing blindsides a man more than when a woman does everything she told him to his face about. Um, I don't think this is true of empath men or INFJ men necessarily, but it is a pattern that is happening a lot in modern culture. Um, so for women to start embodying their feminine energy more, we need men to start stepping into their masculine energy more. Um, but I think sometimes men resist this because they feel the weight of the responsibility that comes with making a woman feel safe and secure. It's a big responsibility, right? And it can feel kind of intimidating to men, I think. And sometimes that resistance is coming from a place of reverence for how big of a responsibility that is. Um, Women need to feel safe in the 3D realm so they can ascend and connect to their intuition and to source and to bring men to their souls. Um, and she needs to feel safe in order to do that. And there's so many different ways to make a woman feel safe, and every woman is different. But it's important to at least recognize this, know it, and think about it and ask questions. Um, trust trust with women and empaths. Trust their intelligence, listen to their boundaries, believe in their foresight. Um, and modern culture also has a lot of commitment issues. It's like you need a couples therapist to even become a couple right now. Um, Humans are deeply flawed and there's always a trade-off. There's always going to be someone better, but you can't build anything that way. The grass is greenest where you water it. And I don't think empaths need this advice necessarily as much as the people we're attracting. Um, but the grass is greenest where you water it. There's always going to be someone better, but like you could meet someone better when you're 90, then there's no time to build anything that way. So again, it's the dance between when are you settling versus when are you being realistic. They need to be safe enough, vulnerable enough. Okay. Focus on enough. There is no perfect solution here. There are no perfect answers, but there are important questions to start asking. So, for your homework, make a list of everything you want from a relationship. And then I want you to edit it and make it affirmative. So, you're not focusing on the things that you do not want, you are focusing on the things that you do want. So, an example of this would be instead of saying, I want someone who doesn't drink, making it affirmative would be, I want someone who is sober. Okay. So you're focusing on what you do want instead of what you don't want. So make a list of all the things you want, then edit it into the affirmative version. And then ask if you are those things. If you want to attract someone who is those things, it's good to try to embody those things yourself. And also focus on seeking out those things in your relationships. That's everything I have for today, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you want coaching or more content, check out the links in the description. Thanks so much.